Hello ladies and gentlemen, how do you do? Welcome to additional programming users. So guys, for today we're going to look at something quite interesting with Android Xamarin. Okay, so we're going to see how to work with the SQLite database. We're going to see how to insert data or save data into that particular database, retrieve that data and show it in our list view. This is what I'm talking about. We're also going to see how to handle the item click events right here. For instance, what about if we want to insert a new set of data? We just come right here, type in our edit text, then click save. Now the data gets saved. What about if I want to add another one? I can just for instance come right here and type, okay, then I click and then I type maybe the last one right here. So I click save. Now if I come click retrieve, you can see our data right here. Actually this data is stored in our database, so that even if we run rerun our project right here, we shall still have our data right here. Okay, this data is stored in our database, SQLite database. Guys, this is what we're going to see, how to work with the SQLite database and list view. We're showing data in our list view. Welcome, we get started. Alright, so guys, please jump to Android, not Android Studio, jump to a Visual Studio. Go to Android, come right here, Android app, blank, then click OK. Okay, you're going to we're using xamarin.android. So then once we've done that one, of course, shall generate for us our project. You can see right here we have our blank main activity. What we're going to do next is, let's come right here. We're going to try to move very fast. Now we're going to add a package or a folder right here that I'm going to call m database. So our database stuff, we're going to wrap them inside right here. So what's the first thing that we want? Okay, let's start adding a class. Now our first class for me shall be a class that I'm going to call constants. I always have challenges pronouncing this particular word, constants. Now constants.cs, this is our constants class. What shall it do for us? This class shall hold for us the constants that we shall use for our table. For instance, things like the column names, database name, table name, okay, table creation statement. Those are the constants. We shall wrap them in one class, so that if we make one change, it gets reflected all over, and that one also makes our code easier to read and maintain. So then the next thing that we're going to have is a db helper class. So what's the purpose for this db helper? By the way, these are very simple classes. Now our db helper class, its purpose is to create for us our table and upgrade that particular table. So yes, we shall have that one. Now the last one, we're going to have db adapter. So we shall come right here, db adapter.cs. No, this is not the right spelling. So we're going to have right here db adapter.cs. So this is where we shall perform our CRUD operations, inserting and of course retrieving, but we shall also open and close connection right there. So guys, we're going to start with our constants. Now for our constants, we're just going to have public fields right here. The first one, I'm going to have of course public, they are going to be static fields. Now right here string, I'm going to call it row id. Okay, so I'll just initialize it with name. Okay, so we're just going to have right there, no, not name, id. I'm going to initialize it with id. So that's our first field. In fact, let me just comment. Now these are our columns. Okay, so our first column of course shall be the id. In fact, I'm just going to use two columns for the sake of simplicity. So then right here I'm going to have another column that I'm going to call name. So once that one, now we're going to come and db properties, our database properties. So for our database properties, once more I shall have right here, I'm going to call it db name. This shall be our database name. Now for me, my database name, I'll give it a funny name. I'll call it dbbdb. Okay, a very funny name. This is why I'm calling it this way, is because actually this is just my own naming convention. Now for my tutorials, now my first database tutorial, I called it aadb bbdb. I'll go that way up to z. So that helps me keep track of my tutorials better. Now, but of course you can name it better in your case. So there shall be a database name. What about a table name? Now for me, my table name, okay, it shall just be the same, but then this one I'll call it TB. Okay, now lastly I'm going to have right here DB version. Okay, so DB version I'm going to have right here. This is my version 1. So this one of course should be an int. So int DB version, this shall be 1. So guys, next I'm going to have my statement for creating my table. So of course I'm making them public because we shall be calling them from a DB adapter class. So right here, in fact, also DB helper class, this one shall also be a static. Of course it's just a string. Now for me, I've pre-typed mine. So this is my table creation statement. Now this one I'll just call, in fact, this one has even given me a better idea. I'm going to call it BDB, right here BTB. So that shall do for us. Create table BTB. This is my table name. It's an ID integer primary key. Okay, I'll be auto incrementing my primary key. I'll not have to enter it. Now name text.null. This is the where we shall be updating. Okay, so that's it. Take note, our name right here is right here. So guys, this is my table creation statement. What about the statement for dropping my table? So I shall come right here and say drop TB, which is drop table. So once more, we're going to make this particular field public. Now we shall come right here, public. So public static, of course, string. Okay, so I've also pre-typed main. Now drop table if exists, and then we simply pass in our TB name. Okay, so of course this one right here, I'm going to call it drop table. Okay, drop TB. Okay, I also had some error right here, so this one I just call it a create TB. So these are just static strings. We shall be calling them from our other classes. So guys, this is it. This is my constants class. I've just wrapped those particular static fields inside this class. So we're going to move to our adapter, our DB helper class. Now the first thing, let's make this class derive from sqlite open helper. So we're going to come right here, sqlite open helper. So then guys, we're just inheriting from this sqlite open helper. Now we're going to implement this stuff right here. I'll choose these 3. Okay, now it's going to give us 2 methods. On create, this is the method whereby we're going to be creating actually a table. On upgrade, this is the place where I shall be upgrading the table. So then I'm going to remove this garbage from right here. So we get rid of this one. We already have our constants class, so we can just call whatever we want. Now constants dot what DB name, it's the one that we want right here. Factory, no, we just pass null right here. What about our version? Of course we reference it from our constants. Now constants dot DB version. Okay, so then that shall do for us. Now what about our on create? So this is the place where I shall be creating our database. Now to create our database, we're just going to use the not database, actually create our table db.exec SQL. Now then we call our SQL statement that we defined. It was called create TB. So in fact, let me just surround this one with the try catch block. Okay, so I'll come right here and then have this one right here. So if I have an exception, I'm just going to write it in my console. So console try it line, then I'm just going to say e.message. Okay, so guys, that's how we're going to be creating a table. Within database, you also have to upgrade a table. So then we're going to come right here to upgrade a table. The first thing, of course, to upgrade, you have to get rid of the old one. Now to get rid of that old one, once more we're going to drop it. So we shall come right here and use our constants class constants.drop tb. So yes, we drop our table, then we're going to, once we've dropped it, we simply call our onCreate method. To create it, of course, we pass in the db. So guys, that's it. That's our db helper class. I said its purpose is to help us create and of course upgrade our table. So we are through with it. We're also through with our constants class. Very fast, we're going to move to our db adapter class. So this is where we're going to be performing our CRUD operations. Okay, so then we shall come right here. Now the first thing that we're going to require inside this class is a context that shall pass to our db helper class. We shall also require our sqlite database right here. So sqlite database db, then db helper. Okay, that I'm just going to call helper. So one of them we're going to pass via our constructor, that is our context. Okay, so if you instantiate this particular class, you shall have to pass as the context. Now once we pass as the context, we're just going to come and then instantiate our db helper class and then pass in our context over there. That shall do for us, guys. What about our database? Now remember, the first thing we want before is to open a connection to a database. So this one also public, we're making it public because we shall be calling it from our main activity. So db adapter, I'll just call it OpenDB. We're going to return an instance of this is our db adapter class. So then of course we shall just come right here, return this. Now what next are we going to do right here? Okay, in fact this one also I'm just going to do inside a try catch block. So if in case I have an error, I'll come and say console dot try train, console not constants. So console dot try train, then we pass in e dot message. I will log in, I will log out that particular error. So this is an e right here. So guys, that shall do for us. Now what are you going to do right here? Of course we're just going to come and say db helper dot write table database. So we're just going to get a reference to our database. Okay, db helper dot write table database. This one shall give us a reference to the database, shall open for us a connection to a particular database. So then let me come right here, connection. What about if we want to close our connection? Now we're going to come right here, close. Once more we're going to have a method. This same round is not going to return for us anything. We're just going to call it close db. In fact, let me just make them open db, close db. So that shall do for us. Now right here, what are you going to do? Simple. We're also just going to come and say helper. We'll simply close our database. Close. This one shall close for us our database connection, that is. So yes, we have our two connections, but then our purpose is to of course insert our data. So to insert our data right here, we're just going to have a method that I'm going to call. This method, I'll make it return. Okay, let me make it return a boolean that shall show us whether we've successfully inserted or not. So I'm going to say, let me call it add. Okay, so what is this that we're going to be adding? It's a name. Okay, so yes, that's what we're going to be doing. By default, I'll return false. Okay, unless we've successfully inserted. So once more, right here is very simple. We're going to use the content values to help us do so. Now content values cv equal to new content values. So yes, once we have our content values, we're just going to call the put method, then we attach our data key and value into it. Now what's our key? Our key is constants dot no dot name. Okay, actually our key is the row name, the column name, I mean the column. And then what's our value? Of course that particular name that's passed to us. In fact, that's the only thing we need. you only have one field. Now suppose you had 10 fields, you'd have all of them right here, constants, put whatever. Okay, so for us we only have that particular field. So once we've done that one, we've not yet inserted still, we just attached data to our content values object. So now to insert, we're just going to call db.insert. The first param that we have to pass in a table name which we want to insert into. To insert, we have our constant. Then of course we have it successful, we shall just return true. So this one shall help us in our main activity to know whether we've successfully inserted or not. This shall do for us. Okay, so this is how we are going to be inserting our data. Very simple. What about retrieving data? Now we are going to come right here, retrieve data. We're going to have a method public. This is our actually what we're going to return. We're going to return an iCursor object right here instance. Okay, so actually this is simply an interface that shall point us to actually the set a result set that is going to be returned by our query. Okay, now the query that's going to return to that particular result set. So then we're just going to come right here and I'm going to say TV shows. Now the first thing that we have to do, we have to my first column of course is my row ID, and then my second column is what name. Okay, so these are my two columns. So then what I need to return is very simple. I'm just going to come right here, return db.query. So this is going to return for us a result set. Okay, and then this particular iCursor instance shall point us to that particular result set. Okay, remember this is an interface. So then we come right here. What's the first thing that we're going to pass in? Obviously the first thing is to pass in our table name, so we're going to say constants.tb name. Okay, so once we've done that one, the next thing, which are these columns that we want to retrieve. Okay, it's those ones, we pass in our array. Now for the rest, for today we're going to just have null. Okay, until another day. So yes, I need the last one right here, so null. Okay guys, that's it. This is going to return for us an iCursor that shall point us to the result set that we want to process, so we shall process it now in activity. This is it. This is how we're going to be adding data and of course retrieving data to and from our SQLite database. Now guys, by the way, did I say this one? We have to actually layout. Please, you have to design your layout. Let me just show you mine. I have already pre-designed it. It's actually very simple. You just have an edit text and the two buttons. You saw it. There's really nothing, and then below them I have a list view. So in fact, if we come right here, you can see this is my layout. I just have an edit text right here. Okay, I've given it some background, white background. Then I have two buttons below it, save button and then retrieve button. You saw it, and then below them I have a list view. It's a very simple layout. It's just to help us get started. Now that's it. That's the only thing I require you to do, so please make sure that you design yours. Now guys, we're going to jump to our main activity so that we wrap things up. Now the first thing, of course, we shall need a reference to our list view. In fact, let's come first of all and declare our list view right here. So list view LV, list view lv. Okay, so I have my list view over there. What next shall I need? I'll need a Java list that shall contain actually my data that I shall want to bind to my array list. So it's just a Java list of type string. I'm just calling it TV shows. It's going to contain my data. So then another thing, of course, I'm going to need an edit text that I'm going to call name edit text. So name edit text over there. What next? I'm going to need two buttons. Now button save btn, and of course what the last one shall be retrieve btn. That's basically what we're going to do. So yes, we're going to have those ones. Now the first thing, let's come right here, and then now for our lv find view by id, we pass in of course the type as the list view, then we reference our id. Now resource right here, resource.id.lv. okay, so right there we have our lv. Now guys, also we're going to need an array adapter. So let's come right here, array adapter, and then let's come right here to this Java list and make sure that we instantiate it over right here globally. Okay, I'm just going to fill data onto it on the fly. So then that shall do for us. Now what about our adapter? We come, we instantiate it equal to new array adapter. The first thing we do pass is our context. Now after our context, we need to pass in the resource, that is the layout. So we get it from our resources, layout resources. So yes, for me, I'm going to use simple list item 1. Then my data, actually my list, I'm just going to use the TV shows right here. Okay, so that's it. Of course, by this time it's empty. So for because of that one, I'm not going to set the adapter to my list view. Okay, until we add data to that particular list view. We want to avoid null pointer exceptions. So guys, that's it. What next? Okay, we're going to create two methods right here, private void. The first one I'm going to call save. No, I'm just going to call it save. Okay, save. This my method is going to take in a string that I'm going to call name. Now what are you going to do right here to save our data? This particular method is going to talk to a db adapter. So we come instantiate our db adapter. I'll call it db. I thought this one okay, we import that one, db equal to new db adapter. We agree to pass in the context. We pass in this inside our main activity. So yes, we have our db adapter instance. The first thing, we have to open our database, so we do so. Okay, before we forget, let's make sure that we shall also close our database at the end. So what are you going to do right here? We're going to save data. So we're just going to do it inside this if else statement. Okay, remember actually our add data method that we declared, we defined in our db adapter is going to return for us a boolean, that is if we've successfully saved our data. So then what I'm going to say if db dot add, then we pass in the name. So of course I'm saying that if this is true, it's going to return for us a boolean. So if it's true, then yeah, we've successfully saved. So what do we do? Okay, we have our name tx. In fact, let's just come and finish off with this our UI stuff right here. So I'm going to start with the name edit text, and then we're just going to find view by id. Then the type of course is edit, not here. Find view by id, then the type is edit text. Okay, so yes, we have our resource. Now we come resource dot id dot name text. That's I called mine. So yes, we have that one, guys. Now what about our buttons? So we're going to come right here. The first one we called it save button, so we're going to have it right here, save btn. The type of course is my button, so we have it right there. And of course the id was for me save. I thought I know they call it, okay, add btn. This one right here, my id actually was retrieve btn, the type is button, and of course right here I have retrieve. Great. So guys, that shall do for us. Now we simply come right here. If we've successfully saved, we just make sure that we clear our name txt by setting it to blank. Okay, so that's it. Otherwise we're just going to say else not, we're just going to show a toast to show us that we cannot save. Now toast dot make text, the context is this, then we're going to say sorry, we are unable to save. So yes, what next? For how long? Okay, a short while, then we call our show method. Guys, that's it. That's how we save our data to our database. Then lastly, we're going to see how to retrieve. Now retrieve, how do we do so? Let's have a private method to help us. Void, it's not returning anything, I'm just calling it retrieve. Okay, not returning anything, not taking anything. So yes, I'll need these first two, so I'm going to copy paste them. In fact, I'll also need to close my db, so before I forget, I'll have it right there. Another thing, before these ones, I'll need to make sure that my TV shows, that is my Java list, is clear, because remember, we're going to be filling it with data, so we don't want duplications right there. So yes, what are you going to do? I'm going to first have right here an iCursor, see, then we are just going to call db.get TV shows. This is returning for us an iCursor. Now we assign it to this iCursor right here. So yes, we come, and then we are just now going to loop through it. So while right here, see, dot move to next. Okay, so while c dot move to next, okay, this help us loop through our result set. Now as we loop through them, this is what we're going to do. First, we're going to extract the name. In fact, it's the name that we only need in this case. So how do we get our name? C dot get string. Now string, we just pass in the index for that particular. Of course, for in this case it's 1. Our first one is 0. Actually, of course, the first index 0, that is the id. We don't need an id in this case. So yes, we have it right there. What are we going to do now? We're simply going to add it in our TV shows. Now we come, add it, and add the name over there. So yes, we have that one. But then remember, we need to actually add this one to our list view. Okay, so we're just going to say we need to bind it to our list view. Now TV shows, first we're going to check its size. If it is greater than 0, then yeah, that's when we're going to be binding it. So we shall say lv dot adapter, then we just assign it adapter. Remember, we'd already passed the TV shows to adapter in our own create method. Guys, that's it. That's what we're going to be doing right here. So then we only now need to come and implement these ones. So if we start with the save btn, now we shall come save btn dot click. We're just going to handle the item click events. So type plus, then equal, then you type you press your tab key twice, is going to generate for you this method. So what are you going to do right here? We simply call save method. Now we pass in our name, edit text dot text. That's it. That's what we do. And then also we have our retrieve button. So we're just going to call a click, then plus equal, then tab key twice. Then right here we come and say retrieve. Okay, so that shall do. What about lv? Let's view. Now this time round it's lv actually dot item click. So lv dot item click plus equal, then tab key twice. So when a single item is clicked, we're just going to show it in a toast. So come and say toast dot make text, the context is this, then what's the data that I want to show, the one that has been clicked. So then we're just going to pass in the position right there. Now for how long, short dot show. Okay, so guys, this shall do for us. This is how we insert and of course save. I hope everything is fine now. Okay, so guys, I'm just going to start my BlueStacks so that we run our project. Alright guys, here we have our simple project. Now what if we come right here and start typing, then I click save, it gets saved. What about the next one? For instance, I come type right here, click save. Okay, what about I come, for instance, now start typing my own stuff, save. Okay, then if I come click retrieve, you can see right here our data is retrieved from my sqlite database. Now I come click an item, you can see right here we have the item that we've added. Okay, so we can add as many as we like. We just click save, it gets saved. So guys, this is it. I'm hoping you've loved the tutorial. I'm hoping you've learned something. Please, if you have, hit the like button, share this video with friends and family, and guys, subscribe so that you don't miss any of our Android Xamarin tutorials. Take care, I'll catch you in the next tutorial.